Hello, everyone. Welcome to DallasCowboys.com. I'm Nick Eatman, along with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer, here week 3 of training camp. And it's been a different camp, of course, with Brian Schottenheimer's first year. But obviously, there's been a lot of talk. I know you're probably tired of it with the Micah Parsons stuff. Since we last talked to you, there's been a trade request. On your end, does that change anything? Has anything changed on your front?
You know, Nick, that's just the nature of negotiations. I think any player that's holding out for a contract right now, I think I've read around the league where they've all requested to be traded. So that's part of it. We have no intention of trading Micah. He's right here in camp, and we'll just keep working. I mean, this is how these things work.
Obviously, when a guy's not there, you get somebody else is taking his place, and you guys had to practice with the Rams. What did you like about the defense, the offense? What some things that stood out there?
Well, first of all, I know it was great just to get out and play against somebody else after you've been going against each other for more than 2 weeks. It's always good to get some fresh faces in here, some new looks, some new things, and certainly I thought our guys answered the bell well.
One of the things that Brian Schottenheimer was talking about, and I don't know if you've heard this story, you probably did, but this is one of the reasons why I think you guys really wanted to hire him. He was talking about play calling against the Rams and didn't like how things were going. So there was a list of plays he wasn't supposed to run, and he said, hell with it. I got to throw a deep ball here. I got to get something back. And so he's not supposed to put it on camera, but he did because he's just so competitive. That's compete every day, right?
Well, that's compete every day. That's his mantra. Certainly, he told me the same thing. Okay. I loved it. I thought it was outstanding that his competitive juices came out and decided to pull one out. The receivers that we've been wanting to step up in a big way certainly did in terms of CD and Pickens. And then I thought Mingo had a big day as well. I thought that part was good. I thought Nate Thomas had a really good day. It was great to see him going against someone else and really stepping up and doing a good job for us. I think Booker, he doesn't get a lot of credit because he's the 12th pick in the draft. You assume that he's just going to go out there and do what he's supposed to do, but certainly showed why he was the 12th pick in the draft. So, and then, the other ones, I thought our backs did a nice job as well. And certainly Javonte is going to be a really good running back for us this year, and look forward as we head toward the preseason and ultimately the season, seeing what he can do for us.
Yeah, you talk about that running back position. You got the Rams game coming up on Saturday. We're expecting Jaden Blue and Phil Moffitt to get a lot of snaps. Are you excited about what those guys can do?
Absolutely, and Moffitt in particular, when you're a big running back, you really don't shine till you're really tackling to the ground, and certainly I think his size and physicality is going to show up. And obviously he's a productive back at Clemson, did a really nice job, and certainly Blue, has that home run threat to him. Certainly one of the fastest guys on our football team. Look forward to seeing him get some touches out there and see how he does.
You're a backup quarterback. You haven't had this much athleticism from your backup quarterback. Nothing against the other guys, but obviously Joe Milton's a different type of player. Now Trey Lance was sort of similar last year. He's taken off and running a lot. And you get to the preseason, is that one where you say, hey, we'd rather not do that and just to try to stay as healthy as possible?
Yeah, and I think part of him evolving into the quarterback we want him to be is to get to the check downs and not necessarily take off running with it. We all know what he can do with the ball when he runs with it. Save those for the games when they count, when you're looking for a big play. I think him, going through his progressions and ultimately, taking 4 or 5 yards on a check down is a plus. So it'll be great to see how, when the preseason gets here, great to see how he does.
I think if I were to ask you which positions you might be concerned about, you probably wouldn't reveal that, but
probably would.
Okay. Well, what are some of those? I was just seeing, is there some places where there's still questions to answer?
Yeah, I still think, the corner position, only because you look at what's on injured reserve. We've got 3 corners over there, an NFI and 2 PUPs, that we're expecting to play for us this year. So certainly Kyer, we expect to play for us this year, but some other guys are getting opportunities. But, with them not ready to go yet, you certainly think about that in terms of improving there if we get the opportunity to do it. I think, a guy like a Booth and Pride are doing a good job out there, but I certainly think that's a place where, we got our fingers crossed a little bit that, but between Diggs and Revel and Butler, that we get those guys back in the mix, and then you never know what's going to be out there that we can get our hands on. And then I think the big defensive tackle there with Mozzie and Jay are doing a really good job, but still you want to see it live, because that position in there in the trenches, you really don't get a great feel for it till you're really tackling to the ground and you're playing in a football game. But I do have a lot of confidence both those guys are going to step up for us.
Last one, and you mentioned Shoddy earlier, but I know I've asked you this before, but now we're into week 3, and is there just more things that you're seeing from him and his staff that just, it seemed like there's so much energy, but you're getting excited more and more just by getting to work with them?
Well, the biggest thing is there's no let up in the energy, which to me shows it's authentic. I mean, it's consistent day in and day out, which, when you're in the grind of a training camp, and here we are into week 3, you just don't see any lack of enthusiasm or energy, and it rubs off on the players, because this is kind of, if you will, the hump part of camp where you're getting through it. Of course, we got this week, and then we'll finish up through the end of next week, and I'm sure people are going to have their eyes on going back to Dallas and getting back to the Star, and that means the season's right around the corner. But the biggest thing is just his enthusiasm and how it's relentless and so authentic, and they never let up, and I think that's a huge plus for our team, our players, our coaching staff, and certainly hats off to Coach Schottenheimer for pulling that off.
I lied. I do have one more. You talked about going back home to Frisco in next week. Training camp doesn't end just because we leave this weather. There's going to be some practices there at the start. The Cowboys fans in Dallas get a chance to see them. How exciting is that to be able to kind of bring a portion of camp back home?
Well, it's obviously real exciting when you're going back to especially a home like the Star, where it's really inviting for our fans, and want them to come out and get a feel for this team, get a feel for what we're talking about out here. And as I mentioned earlier, hopefully get some of these guys back into action when we get back to Dallas. Guys like a Diggs and a Revel and a Butler. Certainly Overshone's probably still going to be a minute before we get him back, but he's making great progress too. So overall, it'll be, we want to enjoy this last week of camp here. But at the same time, we'll certainly be great to be back at the Star as well.
All right, sounds great. All right, that's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. We'll see you next time on DallasCowboys.com.